between its 21 and 200 day moving averages, directly below and even absolutely more important moving average on the weekly chart, and the stock market literally at its most critical level in the history of mankind. Let's just say things could not be any bigger than they're about to be. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is at one of its biggest levels of not only the last month, but I would say of the entire year, right underneath 30,000, right at 28,000 US dollars. And more importantly, if we look at everything happening outside of Bitcoin as well, this is truly basically, I would say the biggest moment that we've seen. Because obviously holding around 15, 16K, confirming a bottom, getting Bitcoin to have some life in it was a huge step of this cycle getting back on track, which happened at the very beginning of 2023. But as many of you know, for the past 7 months, we've been literally doing nothing. Where though? That's what's important. Where have we been doing nothing? We've been doing nothing right underneath 30,000 US dollars, which is just, it's saying something. Because doing nothing right underneath $30,000 is actually, yes, it's doing nothing, but it's actually a little taste of actually doing something, and I want to explain. But more importantly right now, if we look at all of these charts, the stock market is at its biggest make or break level of the entire, I would say even last 2 years. The stock market has been brought down pretty significantly for the past couple of months, topping out kind of in the summer of 2023, right around July. And it's been a pretty heavy downtrend. We've seen the DXY on a pretty nice uptrend for the past 2 months. And Bitcoin has honestly been looking good, despite the fact that the stock market has not been looking good. And the DXY has been looking strong. Usually when those two things are happening, Bitcoin is doing very bad. But it's been pretty good with a lot of sideways, which is good given the circumstance. But now at this very moment, if we look at Bitcoin's daily chart, we are right underneath the 200-day moving average, which sits right at exactly 28,000 US dollars. After more recently bouncing here at the 21-day moving average, right here, we got a little bit of a bullish cross at the very beginning of this month, so about 6 days ago, October 1st. And we're in crunch mode. We're at a very critical short-term point for Bitcoin, where we could see a bust above this at any moment. You can see we're seeing a lot of candles go right up to 28,000 get rejected. We're seeing this happening actually since September 30th. We've been kind of bouncing in a very tight range between 27.5 and 28,000 because Bitcoin wants to bust up here. It wants to. And if we look Bitcoin's weekly chart, look at this. We have the 200-week moving average in yellow right here, which is so much more important. Ever since falling below it in August, it's been, it was actually very important breaking above this that we did back in March, about, multiple months, almost 5 months above it. We held at a very big pullback back in June at this level, and now we're trying to get back above it. This is a huge moment for Bitcoin. Specifically, on the weekly chart, we see the momentum kind of flipping a little bullish here. This is one of those situations where we could see a pretty big price pump, just like these scenarios here back in June, middle of June, from 26,000 up to 32,000. Same thing here in March, 22,005 up to 28, but ultimately up to over 30,000. And then again, back in January, I'm talking about one of these big candles from 17,000 to 24, 25,000. This is one of those moments where we could see another one. The main factor here is this. The SPX, the stock market, is right now touching here, right down to its 200-day moving average for the very first time since March of this year. So what? That's 6-7 months ago was the last time we were here. Of the entire downtrend for the stock market that began in the very beginning of 2022 to the beginning of 2023, so an entire very dumpy downtrend for the stock market, the 200-day moving average was massive resistance here. And now this is our very first time trying to really test it for support, which it's a massive test, because if the stock market doesn't really get a bounce here and actually falls below this over the next couple of weeks, then things could get pretty crazy for the stock market. We do see momentum actually coiling up, especially on the MACD for the SPX daily chart. on the MACD. I think we're going to see at least maybe some bounce as we close out this week. And more importantly, with the SPX, if we really zoom out and look at like a 5-day chart, this level right here, right around 4,300 for the SPX, is gigantic. And we don't want to flip this into resistance. We're kind of testing it right now. We did get rejected there. Remember, back in August of 2022, we ultimately did, end up putting in a bottom, but this could be a massive test. We've seen the last few months be pretty bearish for stocks. And if we can actually hold here and get some sort of relief, that could turn into multiple months of bullish price action for stocks. We are waiting for the money cannon to go off, which ultimately I think will make all of this happen much quicker, much stronger. But the DXY also, we have been on a straight uptrend since July of this year, middle of July, going from under 100, from 99 all the way up to 107 so far at the high. And we are seeing signs of weakness in the DXY. And if we continue to see that, if we continue to see signs of weakness in the DXY, if we see the stock market really start to rally and get some momentum after a couple months of really negative price action for the stock market, if we get those two things to happen, not a doubt in my mind that out of those three things, the DXY, the stock market, and Bitcoin is way more bullish than any of them, in my opinion, as the halving gets closer, as fundamentally, I think a lot of the headwinds that we've been seeing with crypto are, for the most part, behind us. There could always be another massive black swan, obviously, but what I'm saying is I think the catalyst, the juice that Bitcoin has behind it is way stronger of a narrative, both fundamentally and technically, than anything else we're seeing right now. So if we see the DXY and the stock market do what I just said, with the DXY kind of initiate some downtrending price action for the first time in a while, and the stock market get a relief bounce, at least for the next couple of months, Bitcoin absolutely will bust. As we head into as we just started the last quarter of this year, as we head into 2024, and that's crazy to say, already 2024, as we head into 2024 and are only months, less than 6 months or right around 6 months until the Bitcoin halving, this is just a very exciting time. And it's absolutely worth noting, because everyone talks about this and you pretty much have to talk about it. Nobody is really watching videos or engaging on Twitter or anything, or X or whatever, like they used to be. And it's exactly what you want to see. I mean, really, nobody was engaging 6 months ago or even a year ago, but it's like at an all-time low in terms of sentiment. People are they don't care. And I think that, as I've been saying for months, the best time to pay attention, I think we're actually closer than most people think to the best time to be paying attention ending. I think you don't really have much time left to really be in that sweet zone where people don't care. What I'm trying to say is I think very soon people are going to start caring about this market again. And when people do start caring about the market again, the prices naturally will be higher, which is why people will be caring about the market, and the max opportunity will be gone. So what I'm saying is I think time is a little shorter than, this is just my opinion. I think objectively time is running out, but I personally think it's going to run out a little sooner than people are expecting with the halving and everything. I think things are going to flip like a switch. And I think that this space is going to get a lot more bullish, a lot quicker than people realize. But I still think we're going to see some fake outs, some dumpiness, some sideways. I think that it's coming to an end. I think that max opportunity is quickly leaving. Now, we look at Bitcoin on this 5-day zoomed out chart. Macro patterns dominate Bitcoin's breakouts. And we have this one. I remember making this during it back in the last bear market to bull market. And I remember watching the breakout. It was a literal perfect breakout. Okay. Had the initial bust, retest, and then just straight up. It was insane. We had a similar thing here. Who knows if this will end up turning into a slightly different macro pattern, but I think ultimately this makes sense to me. I think that ultimately we are going to see Bitcoin have a crazy next year. I think it's going to be insane. I think 2024 is going to be insane. In 2025, the first half will be insane. The second half might be a little full of fake outs. Who really knows? With a Bitcoin spot ETF coming, it's a matter of when, not if. With it coming, I think really it's going to change everything. Will it change how cycles work? Will it just be like the S curve or wherever, where things just click and it's straight up? for a while. I mean, obviously there will be crashes, but I think things are going to change a little bit. I don't know how it's going to play out exactly, but that's the thing. Nobody does. Literally no one knows how it's going to play out. And that's what makes this way more exciting. In the sense that I do think we know how it's going to play out over the next couple of months when it comes to the halving. But I just think that this bull market, this upcoming one, right? What's crazy to me is there are so many people that are watching this that are probably thinking there will never be another Bitcoin bull market again. And I remember hearing that so many times. Okay, these people. Those same people that are saying that are going to be saying, well, I don't really know. They'll probably just be upset if they weren't invested. I really don't know. But if you hear the same thing every time. As predictable as the market is, it can also be quite unpredictable and vice versa. But there is a constant, and history has some sense of similarity, especially with the built-in function of Bitcoin. Now it's just kind of crazy looking at this chart. 30,000 is still that big resistance. We just got this bearish cross. Remember, we talked about it last month, the very first couple days of September. And right now, we're trying to get back above this key simple moving average right here, the 200-day. And if we get above it, things can get pretty bullish pretty quick. It looks like the momentum on Bitcoin wants to go up. It looks like the momentum on the stock market needs to go up, basically. It needs to. Otherwise, stocks are just going to be horrible. The DXY looks to be running out of steam as well. But more importantly, I mean, I think things are really heating up. And looking at all of these charts for Bitcoin, it's crazy to me that we are where we are. And people are, I mean, I'll admit it, it's pretty boring. It's very boring. When it's the most boring, which I can confidently say, this is the most boring stretch of price action of this entire bear market by far. It's been almost 2 years of a bear market. People have lost interest. And that is historically exactly when things start pumping up again and people don't believe it. Okay. We were at 15,000 not that long ago per Bitcoin, right? If we zoom out, we were down in the trenches down here just about 10, 11 months ago. And really, what has happened since then? A lot of sideways, but overall, we've been going up. And if you're still holding out for 10K, we are a far, far way away from 10K, especially compared to back here. And it's very clear, I believe, with everything that is lining up, centered around the halving, but there's so many other huge things, where for the first time in human history, for Pete's sake, BlackRock is interested in Bitcoin. Larry Fink, literally the biggest, I remember in the last bear market, people were saying, well, the institutions will never care. The big money, the people that can actually get trillions of dollars into crypto will never care. Guys, it's literally happening. It's literally happening right now. It's slow, but the interest is there. The very first steps are there. It's just crazy if you really pull yourself out and zoom out and really look at what do we have on our side versus what do we have going against us in terms of crypto adoption. It makes me angry to think people could actually be bearish on this, what's actually happening, because you have to be delusional. And take advantage of massive deposit and sign up bonuses if you're interested in trading. If you sign up with my links to Femex or BITGET below, it takes about 30 seconds to sign up. Just put in an email, password. You can get a lot of bonuses and earn free XPT when you trade anything with Femex. Without any further ado, it's free.